Hello.
Hey.
Hey, we are live. Sorry that we're a little late, everybody. We were having some technical difficulties with the sound on my end. I'm not sure what happened, but AirPods to the rescue.
Yeah.
So with me today, I have the amazing Desiree Cocroft, who is an amazing businesswoman, trainer, speaker extraordinaire, and life strategist. I don't even like to just call you a life coach anymore because the work that I know that you're doing with people and even organizations is helping them build a strategy around how to get their life, which is a phrase that you coined that I love. Because when I think about, we've known each other, 12 years now. When I think about how I've watched you evolve and get your life, hey, Leisha, when I watched you evolve and get your life, it has been inspiring, and watching the evolution has made me proud. And yes, she always looks this fine. So like I put on a little jacket and stuff today because I was like, I already know Desiree about to come into the live ready because she turned 40 last week, and happy birthday. And so, when you remember, I remember turning, I was fine when I turned 40, and then now I'm on the other side of it. So now I'm just it's just all right.
Whatever, girl, you fine, honey, you fine.
So, Alicia, if you're still watching, whoever else is out there, just tell us a hello. Tell us you're out there. Tell us you can hear us and see us. I always like to, no sense in us talking to one another if we can't talk to you. So if anybody is watching, just tell us how our sound and our visibility is. That would be a great help right now, because I just want to make sure we're good since we have some technical difficulties at the beginning. Hey, Katina. Hey, Chen. So, Chen, tell us, Chen, can you see us? Can you hear us? Because you will tell us for real. And you will too, Coach Katina. So I asked, and so what we've been doing, just to share a little bit about PowHER Lunch. So I go live every day, Monday through Friday at noon. And if it's me alone, I typically keep it to about 30 minutes, and it's anywhere from leadership to current events, just based on what's happening lately, to marketing and business strategy. But then I've got at least 1 to 2, and sometimes 3 on some weeks, leaders, people in my network that I admire and that I love and that are amazing, or, collaborators, allies, etc., that are willing to have real conversations, share their journey, their leadership philosophy, and just talk through what they have going on, because there's so many amazing stories. And this is such an awesome time to connect, because we have time like we've never had before to actually do that. And so I asked Desiree, and she said yes, and I'm so thankful. And she is tuned in all the way from Philly. So hey to Philly, but originally from Milwaukee. And so I met Desiree. She's one of the founders of Signature Dance Company, which is one of the most amazing art dance organizations in the city. As a matter of fact, I am heartbroken about COVID, because Signature usually has my daughters for the summer. And so that piece of it. She has 2 master's degrees. She also works as a corporate trainer. She's a speaker. She's soon to be author. And so she's a dancer. One of her masters is in dance. The other one is in
business.
Business.
And it's a master, but I appreciate the double masters. It's 2 BAs. 1 in dance, 1 in business, and the master's in business. But I appreciate.
I'm looking to the side because your brother, aka my husband, is like trying to whisper something to me about you, because they both went to Hampton. Was that what you trying to say to me? Oh no, he told me. You know what? You don't even want to know what he told me to tell everyone about you. He wanted me to tell everybody she's single.
You tell people you're single. I'm okay with that.
Right. So, yeah. So look. So Wes had your back. He over there like he's like, tell everyone she's single.
Thank you, brother. You know what it is.
He said, thank you, brother. But they also are both Hampton Pirates from Hampton University. And so, and a bunch of our friends are watching it, and so they are cracking up that that West did that. But yes, she is single. Look, I might as well run the whole with no children, which is a perfect segue into my first question. One of the things that I love that I've watched you evolve into over the last few years, and we've talked about this before, is that you just turned 40, you're beautiful, intelligent, educated, single. You took a huge leap leaving Milwaukee, moving to the East Coast alone to start a new career trajectory. And you know, a lot of women our age, you know, because, you know, we fall like between two different, we're close enough in age, who are in your position are sitting at home doing nothing, waiting on some man to like break in their house and be the perfect guy. And not getting their life, not living their life. And one of the things that you made a commitment to yourself to do, and you have done a phenomenal job at it, is if I want to go, I'm going. If I want to take that class, if I want to go to that conference, if I want to see that concert, and it's not, I mean, and we're in a circle of friends that runs pretty tight. We will just see the picture of like, oh, Desiree in New Orleans this week, you know, kind of thing. Because it's like you decided like, I'm not going to wait till everyone else can go. If I want to go, I'm going to go. And so I want to ask you, where do you find, because that's a courageous move. And so how did what inspired you to do that? And in the moments was there ever fear? And then when did the courage kick in to just say, I'm doing it?
Yeah, you know, thank you, Sean. I have always been someone that kind of like does what I feel like doing. And I think, you know, as we get older, we tend to be way more safe and not wanting to step out and do some of the things that we desire because of the fear of rejection and failure. And like you said, as a single woman, sometimes there was a season of my life where I wanted to wait to be with someone to experience those things with that someone. And then, you know, I don't remember who I was talking to in particular, but it was a mentor. And it's like, you know what, if you want to do something, like create the moment, like create what it is that you want to do instead of waiting on someone to do it with you. It's just like, if you want to go do it. And I mean, with the way that we see things going on in the world now, and more recently in October, I had a cousin that died in a car accident and she was 40. So I was 39 on the brink of 40. And when I was told about her death, one of the things I was thinking about is like, what am I waiting on? To do anything? Because we have this thought and this hope to live, you know, the kind of long life that we desire in our 80s and 90s and seeing our grandkids and great grandkids. And I'm not saying that we can't have that. I also don't want to live in the life waiting on, you know, kind of like waiting on Superman. It's like, let me live. Like,
right. And so then as a coach, when you have women in the position that they are waiting, and I'm always talking about, can you handle the weight of the weight, you know, the WEIGHT of the weight. And so they are not handling the weight of the weight very well. And so now they've called Desiree to say, I need a coaching session because I feel like my life is on hold, both personally and professionally, which a lot of times one affects the other, you know, because they're waiting on Superman, to your point. What do you say to that woman to help her get to the place that you got to?
You know, so one thing for me, and this is, you know, I'm a woman of faith. So like with that, like one thing for me is like, I always want to be found living the life that I desire because I want to create joy apart from someone. I want to be someone that someone wants to be with because my life is already good. And so my message to people like that is like, how does it hurt you to be happy about your life meeting someone? Like already being happy, moving and shaking, like buy the house, sis, start the business, sis, go start the group, sis. Like
right. Go to Thailand and ride the elephants, sis. Do all of those things because what I'll say is, at the point that, you know, I met my husband, I think one of the things that attracted him was all the living that I had done and all the places that I had been, and the fact that he knew that he was coming into someone who had a life. And so he had a life, I had a life. You know, we were in our 30s. Well, he was 30, I was 32. I'm a cougar. And so go young.
Go young or go home.
Two whole years. And I think, you know, I remember we were having a conversation about Oprah Winfrey during that time, and he's like, people always talk about how they know Oprah. We just really are dating. He's at my home, and at that time, I was literally working at Harpo Studios, and my screenshot was the picture of Oprah and I. And so then I pulled that up, and he's like, oh. But I knew then, like, oh, you're gonna ask me to marry you because. Yes. So now let's talk about Destination Life. Tell everybody what Destination Life is. Desiree is the founder of Destination Life.
Yeah. So I actually started Destination Life. I filed the paperwork, you know, step one. I filed the paperwork in 2012 with this desire to really do a lot of keynote speaking because I had done so much facilitation since I've been 17. I've been facilitating self-esteem, self-image, different curriculums with different nonprofits. And so I had always had this desire to do public speaking full time. And so in 2012, I started Destination Life, not really knowing exactly what it would do, but knowing that's a part of it. Then a couple years later, I quit one of my jobs when I was a financial manager at Make a Difference Wisconsin, which is now Secure Futures, to go and see what I could do with it. And just kind of went in blindly, like, okay, Destination Life. I see people online doing stuff. Maybe that's what I'm supposed to do. Like, maybe that's the way to become a speaker. And so I started, you know, some of the things that I'm doing now on a smaller scale then. Then I was like, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing right now. Let me just focus on Signature Dance Company and contracting with organizations, doing some of the work I know I wanted to do through Destination Life. So it kind of took a hold again in probably like the last 2 years. So since the end of 2018 is when I just started like, okay, like let me really mobilize this and figure out what the business model is. And so I decided that I wanted to be an organization where not only do I speak, but also coach, because that's something that I've been doing without the title for so long. And so the last 2 years have been giving myself more opportunities to be more well learned about exactly, you know, some of the techniques of coaching and such. And so I primarily love to coach from the stage or coach from a platform. But I also have been doing a lot of one-on-ones and group coaching. And I see myself doing, you know, more than that, but, you know, you got to start somewhere. So that's, you know, where I am starting to do some of that work. Oh, I lost you, Sean. Where are you? I can't see.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I hear you. Yep.
Okay. For some reason, my screen is frozen, so I'm trying to fix that.
Okay.
And
okay. It's frozen, but I'm still here, y'all. We out here. So that is what I'm doing with my life. And when Sean gets back, we're gonna keep on talking about some other things. But I'm seeing some great comments up in here.
Yeah, I'm still here and I can still moderate. They just can't see my face.
Okay.
So yeah, I can't. Yeah, it just froze and it will not give me back my my cam. So I don't know. Okay. So anyway. And so so I love the start, and I love what you said at the beginning of, you know, when you first started, you weren't sure what to do with it. So you made a couple of pivots until you got there. And that is so critical because so many people are not willing to do that because they're not willing to start over again or to publicly give the perception that they failed. And so that is a piece of getting your life. And it's because it's in our failures that we really meet our strongest self. And so I love that you said that. So to the woman who feels like she's at a false start right now, what do you say to her?
You know, that is a part of your journey. And that every time that we have something that doesn't look exactly what we thought it would look like, it just gives us an opportunity to lean in, you know, in to further define what it is that we desire to see. And to, you know, maybe take some pivots. You know, that's been a word, a buzzword these days is pivoting. But I think that it doesn't only just hold true now because of what's going on. I think just in life, as things are happening, when we have fails or when we have missteps, it doesn't mean that we are a failure, right? We just to lean in, learn from it, figure out what's our next thing, or change our amount of effort that we're putting into a thing. I think a lot of times don't want to keep pursuing a goal because it doesn't look the way we thought it was going to look, but it's like, you know what, maybe we need to change our effort or get more specific about what we actually want to see.
Right. Agreed. Agreed. I StreamYard has never let me down. And then today it just, it's just not letting me be great, but that's okay. So we're going to keep going. It's great because you're here. Imagine if I was on by myself and I would have to pretend like it was Blackout Wednesday or Thursday, whatever. I would keep it on brand.
Blackout Thursday.
Right. I would be like, in honor of the protests that are happening throughout our country, I decided to black out.
Because I'm using my voice, so y'all only
exactly, because my face is big.
I love it.
Yes. So talk about your services, because I'm always telling people, like, you're my favorite coach's coach, and a lot of time, there's this parallel, I believe, between what the two of us do.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, I lost you, but I did hear the question.
Yes.
I got you. I hear you now. Okay. So back to the question, it was about the services. So one of the services I have is, right now I'm doing my credentialing for the International Coaching Federation. So I am a certified coach, but I'm working on credentials. So right now, from now until June 30th, I'm doing pay what you can coaching. So 1-hour coaching sessions that are available to people that want to pay what they can. And especially, just in light of COVID and people really needing a push, that's been something that I'm offering for the next month. But then outside of that, I also still have one-on-one services that I offer to, people, mostly entrepreneurs or people that are founders or executive directors. A lot of times, just because people are feeling stuck or unmotivated or just looking for some innovation or trying to create something new and just wanting some help with that. As well as I've had some clients that really want to help just become more confident in their leadership ability if they're managing people, whether it's a C-suite level or something like that. So I work with those people. And then I have a group coaching course that I've done maybe 4 iterations of it. And that's called Get Your Life Today, really helping people get rid of their excuses and really transform lives with their service. So I really, for the most part, work with people that have a service-based business. Although I've had 1 or 2 people in the class that have been in it, and they did it because they wanted to actually extend the thing that they do at their current job within their organization. So they didn't necessarily want to be an entrepreneur on their own right away, but they wanted to see how they can extend their services with their current employer as like a contractor or what have you. So still an entrepreneur-ish, right? But really helping people realize the thing that, we sit at night, we look at the ceiling, we can't sleep because it's something in us that we desire to do and we just don't know the how. So I like to help people articulate that and give them the meat of the confidence that's really inside of them that they can't actually say or know how to say out loud.
So our friend Melanie, I get to be Oprah right now. And so I was going to ask that. I'm going to 30 more minutes. Man, I mean, geez. So what Melanie asked was that, I was coming for you with that. These are our real friends, you guys. So most of the women that I interview, I have a personal relationship with, because I really want this to be an intellectual girlfriend chat. I really want it to be a mastermind exchange. So these are women that I admire from an intellectual perspective, but also that I feel personal connection with and that have leadership attributes that can impact any woman listening to this. And so Melody wanted to know, will you come speak at events?
Oh, wow. What an interesting question. Thank you, Melanie. Yes. I will come speak at events, because of COVID. And I know you know this, Sean, because I see you out here in these streets, emceeing, doing trainings and workshops. So because of COVID, some things, became virtual events.
Right.
And then things became canceled. And so I am available to be a part of events. I know some people are postponing live ones, but They become virtual. So I have a couple of virtual events that I've done already this year, and I'm totally willing to do that. And then as it permits doing in-person events, I'm still open to that as well.
Awesome. And how can they book you?
They can book me by emailing me at hello@DesireeCocroft.com. So that's how they can book me, and we can have a conversation.
Okay. Wonderful. So we've got about 30 minutes left in the conversation, and I don't want you guys to go anywhere, but I want to restart my browser. Because so restarting my browser may drop you, but if it does, Desiree and I will be right back. So don't leave us.
Don't leave.
And if it takes more than 2 seconds and it doesn't show my face, then we'll just come back how we are. But it's streaming multiple places, and people are going to watch the replay. And I would just like for them to get the full experience of the conversation. So I'm going to restart my browser. If we lose you, we coming right back. All right. Okay. You stay with me, Des.
Okay.
Okay, that works.
Yes.
Can sister friends, other people watching, Patrice, everybody that's hanging with us, can you see us now? Please tell me. Can you see us both, Malika?
Right, we need to know.
We need confirmation. Okay, Sophia supposed plural. So since you said plural, then I'm going to guess. Okay, and Mel said she can see us both now. Great. Okay, awesome. Because this is a conversation, and I felt like we were on the phone. Like a blind date. Exactly. So thank you for rolling with us, and thank you, browser, that when I restarted you did not drop the broadcast, so it will keep going. Okay, so other piece. So Melanie asked a great question about how you can get booked and will you speak at events. And what do you? So we both are on the speaker circuit. We both are helping coach individuals. What are you saying to people right now to get them through this time where perhaps they feel like the rug has gotten pulled from under them? They, like they were headed down a path, and perhaps you had helped them set up a strategic plan. And then because of COVID and because of the furloughs and the shutdowns and things like that, they're not able to move forward. How are you helping them keep momentum, or what are you saying to those individuals?
Yes, I love that. So typically 3 questions. So one is, what is it that you actually desire? So and you know this, but for the sake of everyone, right? With coaching, we're not therapists, although it can be therapeutic. It's not therapy. It's like, hey, where are you right now? And where do you want to go? And then we're helping guide them to get them where they want to go.
Absolutely.
And so the biggest question is like, okay, well, what do you want? Like, I hear you, and I love to give people the opportunity to explore where they are, and they may tap into some of their past, but just my question is like, where are you right now? Where do you want to go? Right. So where do you want to go? So then the second thing is like, okay, now that you know where you want to go, like, what is it that you have that can help you get there? Because we have things that can help us get to where we want to go.
Absolutely.
We don't acknowledge it, right?
Right.
Yeah. So it's like that. And then it's just like, okay, so what's the one thing we can do to get that? You know what I mean? So what you want to do, what do we have access to? And that's just kind of like an exploratory conversation. Okay, what's the one thing you're willing to do right now to get you closer?
Right.
That's basically like the kind of framework of the conversation, for sure.
I love it. So I don't have 2 master's degrees like Desiree, so I say things a little differently, and I'm from the South Side of Chicago. So what I say to women, my friend, she speaks very eloquently. And so I say that you have the skills to pay the bills, which essentially is the same thing. And so it's like, what's in your hand right now? Because so many people, to your point, don't acknowledge that, first of all, even if COVID hadn't happened, there's really no true sense of job security in the world that we live in. We're not retiring like our grandparents did, even like our parents did. You know, my mom spent 30 years at the phone company. My dad retired from the military after 20 years. Like it's you don't have that type of longevity. Well, it's few and far between. It's fewer and further between than it used to be. And so people should be asking themselves those questions regardless of like, where are you now and where do you want to be? And keep asking yourself those questions until you have an answer. And I feel like that is the work that you've done. That's the work that I've done. And one of the things I would ask of you, because I think it's important that people understand what they're getting into when they contract a coach, and that all of us bring something different to the table. So you have to know what you need in that moment. And so to that point of, you know, having done the work, can you give some insights to someone when, you know, I get this question a lot, and I don't know how often you do, of like, well, what can I expect from a coach? Or, you know, why do I need a coach? And, you know, my thing is like, what champion do you know that does not have a coach? What truly successful person do you know that doesn't have a coach? You know, and so what are your conversations like in that regard?
Yeah, definitely. Like everybody needs to be coached. And I think that, you know, the biggest thing is that, you know, a coach is really someone that pulls something out of you that you may not have seen it, or you haven't asked the right questions. And I think that we ask people questions that help get them where they need to go. And, you know, the thing is because they may not see themselves as such, but we see them as whole, and we see someone that has the answer to the issue. And I mean, you know this too, Sean, like, you know, especially when people are, you know, aspiring to be an entrepreneur, or aspiring to as a side hustle or what have you. You know, I think a lot of times people get caught up in, you know, it has to look a certain way. And there are so many ways to make money. And if we cornered people and told them this is the way, you know, we could almost keep them from really being innovative in doing things.
Right.
There's so many people that just come out the box doing something.
Right.
And that's cold. Like,
right.
Like, I really believe, and I'm sure you do as well. Like, as a coach, it's like we're asking you the right questions to open Pandora's box of what it is in you, able to do what you believe you are to do with yourself.
Right. Because I don't want to tell you what to do and give you the answers, and you out here trying to do me. I want, you know, and so I don't, the world is looking for voices, not just echoes. And so as a coach, we're trying to help you articulate your voice that's already on the inside of you, not just be an echo of perhaps what's trending right now, how you saw someone else make some money, you know, or whatever ulterior motives that there may be, because true fulfillment, and I know that you and I see eye to eye on this, is really about being able to do your purpose work, being able to do what it is you believe that you were put on this earth to do. That's when you really, because you can be making, I mean, we see people unfortunately commit suicide all the time who have more money than most of us will ever see in our lifetime. So it's not connected to money. They could have a husband, they could have perfect kids, they could have a seemingly perfect life. Nobody's life is perfect, but on the outside looking in, it can feel that way. Like, you know, I all the time I speak to people and they're like, I just don't know why the person would have decided to end it. And it's like, because if you're not fulfilled, and if you lose hope and you become hopeless, which means that you can't see the future, then that's a whole nother thing. Something you said, though, that was so critical was that everyone needs coaching. And a question I got asked yesterday, and I was on Power Lunch by myself, so I'd love to hear another coach's perspective on this, is someone asked me what was the difference between coaching and mentoring.
So not someone told me once, I did learn this like by the words, but mentoring is me walking you through what I did and giving you advice on what I did. Like when we mentor girls or we mentor other people in our community, we're usually taking them under our wing and they're almost shadowing our lives, right? And we pick mentors that we aspire, there's something about them that we aspire to be like. And so we're kind of like that emulation, but not in a bad way. You know, we want to emulate what they're doing. And so with coaching, we're not telling you to do what we did, and we're not telling you to walk around. Like the two can go hand in hand. Like it's okay to jump out of a coaching mode and go into mentor mode.
Right.
Invite that space. Like I definitely coach people I mentor. But it does, if you talk about pure coaching, it's not mentorship, but the two, just like coaching and consulting, right? Because I know you do a lot of coaching and consulting, like some things I'm coaching you, some things you want me to give you recommendations, like you pay me and that's what I'm here for. So the both can, all of them can come hand in hand, but when you want a coach for coaching purposes, like they can just come out the pocket and let you know, like, hey, like I'm here to help guide you. If you want a consultant, you want a mentor, you're gonna have to say that, because if you want me as a coach, this is what I'm doing.
Right. And, you know, another thing that I brought up too is, you know, as coaches, you get approached by a lot of people that ask you to mentor them, perhaps because they can't afford the coaching, or they figure, you know, if I ask you to mentor, then, you know, it's a free service. And as a business strategist, as someone who tries to help people monetize, and if Melanie's still watching, she'll appreciate this. That's our finance friend. It's like, well, I coach for a living. So, and I mentor for free, you know, and so that's to, you know, some of my mentees may have started off, to your point, as coaching clients, and there was so much greatness happening, and there was such a connection that it was like, you're a mentee now. This is a whole, we've evolved into a whole other relationship. However, you know, it's an organic thing, and so many people feel lost, especially young people younger than us, because they're like, I can't find mentors, and women, you know, in their 40s and 50s don't want to mentor me. You know, they're intimidated by my youth, or they, you know, feel away. And I personally don't know women that are not interested in mentoring. I think that often our busyness is confused with not wanting to mentor. So can you talk about that? And give you know, talk to them eloquently about that.
Well, you know, one thing, it's so funny you say that, because I'm actually going to be talking about some of that in my book, about having, you know, the kind of circle that you need in your life, and mentors being one of them. And I think that we shouldn't shame people for not giving us what we think they should be giving us. I think that we have misaligned expectations when it comes to having relationships with people that we think owe us their help and owe us their advice. And so it's kind of twofold, right, Sean? Because in one case, it's like, take personal responsibility for your life, right? Things are not happening, and you're whining about not having a mentor. Like, take responsibility, right? Like, no one's taking me under their wing. That's why things are like. I think that in the sense, like, okay, yeah, we need people to be great. So I definitely believe in that. Using that as a way of feeling bad for yourself and creating a pity party, no, like, you know, do your due diligence. The other part is like, what do you actually want from a mentor? And be clear about what you want. Like, there was this woman in Philly, and I called her my mentor. And I'm like, you my mentor. I met her at like an Urban League event, and I was like, I love you. I was like, you'll be my mentor. And I said, and I'm not even gonna bother you like that. Like, I'm like, but the real thing is that I wanted is just like, I just wanted to see how she moved and lived.
Exactly.
It's like, so when we couldn't get a date down, like for lunch, I didn't like toss her to the wind, like, oh, she don't know anybody. And why won't she help me? You know what? I went on her page. I found out what event she was speaking at, and I paid for it. And I went to the event to speak, and then I bought her book.
Right. You know, and at that point, I think the mentor becomes even more interested in what it is that you know, of actually being a mentee. Because when people come to me and they approach, like, how can I become a part of the PowHER Network? How can I join the team? How can I, you know, have you as a mentor? The first thing I say is, you know, well, you know, you can talk to Melina about volunteering. You can start showing up at events. If you have a financial situation that you can't afford a ticket, we have so many free events in addition to the ones with tickets. But really start showing up and start investing in yourself. Because if I'm going to invest my time as a mentor, then I need you to have skin in the game as well. And to your point, we need to be headed. My time is so limited that we need to be headed in a specific direction. And if you're all over the place, you don't need a mentor yet. You need a coach, or you need a strategic planning session so we can get you to a space that you're ready for a mentor. And that's not to disregard and it doesn't mean that I'm not honored that you don't view me in that yet you view me in that light, that you want to mentor. But it's one of those things of, as you get older and as you work in this arena longer and as a leader, you know when people are ready, not even just for mentoring, but for your services, period. You know, there'll be people that'll say, I'm ready to start up and I want launch services and I want coaching. And I'm like, it would be a waste of money to take your money right now, because we would be all over the place. And at the end, you wouldn't be any further than how you started, because I'm good with taking raw ideas, but if you don't even have the raw idea yet, like spend some time with that before, you know, you want to, like, so let's start with some strategic planning for your life, or you call Desiree, get your life, and then call me and we can build your platform, you know, kind of thing. So
I hear you. You know, you made me think about how I forgot who said it, but they were saying if you want to get me as a mentor, you're going to get a part of my life, unless you want to like infiltrate yourself into my personal life or my regular life, because it's easier for me to mentor you when you're a part of what I'm doing. But if you want like a real full transformation in your life, then you need a coach. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if you want the biggest bang for how I can help you move,
right.
like you want to be coached. Mentorship is great, and I feel like mentors have poured a lot into me. I was like, I've gotten a lot further in the couple hours with a coach though than I have.
Absolutely.
You know, mentorship is for life. Like get me in there, and even some people just get coached for life. You know,
right. Yeah, I mean, my coaching. You know, my coach John Haynes, who coincidentally got moved here, and that's the other thing too. People have this traditional idea of what they think mentorship looks like. We got introduced to each other via Facebook. And to your point, I just started watching how he moved. I started watching what he said. He self-published a book. I bought it. You know, I stayed in touch through commenting. He was mentoring me just through his daily posts that he was putting out to the general public, just based on the leader that he is. And we became so connected in that way that his company that he works for, that ended up moving him here, he ended up having to come here, and he popped up at my church one Sunday. And it was like, and he got to meet Wes and I, and that was phenomenal. And then, you know, a little over a year ago, he called and he's like, I'm moving to Milwaukee. And I'm like, and so it made me think about that quote in The Alchemist of like, when you really want something, the whole universe will conspire to help you get it. Because it's like, I want my transformation and my leadership coach here with me. But he's an executive at one of the largest corporations in the world. And so we may text twice a month. We may speak twice a quarter. I mean, if I got a 911 Hail Mary, you know, then, you know, hey, but I don't take it personal because he's got a wife, he's got a child, he's got a job, he's got a life, he has a right to his life. But the things that he can text me in a couple of moments or just 2 minutes on a call with me can literally change a situation for me. Absolutely. And you know, and mentors are important. Allies are important. You know, there's a lot of conversation around allyship right now. Right. And coaches are critical. Advocates are important, and sponsors are important. And you need to have all of them in your life and know the difference between them.
Yep. And a therapist. I'll throw that in there.
Yes, absolutely. And a therapist. Even if it's just for maintenance purposes. You know, people are, I'm not crazy. I don't need a therapist. We all a little crazy. And if you are focused on getting somewhere, if you know, anywhere in life, or if you feel stuck in life, to Desiree's point, we are educated, trained coaches, consultants, strategists, but we're not trained therapists. And so at that point, Kelly, please tell me what you want us to repeat. If it's you need a sponsor, advocate, ally, coach, and mentor. Hopefully I repeated what you wanted. And therapist. And therapist. And look, and all of my healthy friends will want me to say like accountability partners to have you do some physical stuff. So Desiree's in this group with me. We all, have these Apple Watches, and we all share like our stats every day. So they all out here, they killing it. I get all of these notifications all day. Such finished their ring, such got to work out in. I just ignore. I just ignore, and I just keep it going.
Right. I will not be pushed into that. I'm not ready for that yet.
If Tiffany Chen is still on here more, if Chen is still watching, then Chen has made it her personal mission to be my accountability coach. So yesterday was the first day that I did not work out since she challenged me to get 30 minutes in a day. And I got a text from her last night to say, where you at? I didn't get your, and she knows me. So it's like, it's real easy. I'm going to see your workout. I'm going to tell when you started, because she's a corporate leader. So she approached me in the corporate leader way.
She really did. She owned it.
She owned it. And she texted me, and I did not answer her because I had no good excuse besides life and
just
work.
Just shameful.
It is. So now I want to shift gears. So first of all, for those of you who live in Milwaukee, Desiree is in the 40 under 40 class of 2018, but she is part of that illustrious group. And she is amazing and deserves that. But also, I mentioned at the beginning of this that she is one of the founders of Signature Dance Company. And you founded that dance company with 2 childhood girlfriends. Mm-hmm. And Signature is now, is it 13 years old?
16, sweet 16.
Mm-hmm. I was up for 6 more years old. Oh my God. That went fast. I feel like I just had your 10-year anniversary shirt on. That was 6 years ago. Okay. So what I love about the 3 of you, as I've even watched Signature evolve over the last 12 years. So I've been, I was pregnant with my first daughter, and I saw Signature dance, and I walked up to one of your co-founders, Takia Sellers, and I said, when this daughter is born, she's coming. And then I had another daughter, and both of them, and you were Gabrielle's first teacher, and Takia was Desiree's first teacher as toddlers. And so the way you guys pour into girls and the legacy that you are, the seeds you're planting here in Milwaukee that leave a legacy that branch out throughout the country are just phenomenal. Mm-hmm. But my point in bringing it up, besides how phenomenal Signature is, and when you see fundraisers for Signature and opportunities to book Signature, you should. And they're doing daily virtual dance classes and fitness classes and all types of things. So follow that page and follow Destination Life page. But I want to talk about, a lot of women cannot figure out how to do what you guys did. So first of all, you start this together 16 years ago as kids, basically. I mean, not kids, but kids, Yeah. You're grown women, but you're kids compared to what you are now. Because I always think about business ownership in the age of, so now y'all teenagers, y'all can drive, you're 16. And so you start this, you're in it together, you're building it from the ground up, literally, on your own. And then your camps grow. I watched them grow with my kids from, a little space to now we at the rep with hundreds of girls. Mm-hmm. And my real point is that most women cannot collaborate and grow in the way that you have. And now, with the exception of, Malika, who's still in Milwaukee, you and Takia have both left the state, but are still, on the board and still, very much the original founders, and come home, as necessary for that. But that is true legacy. So first, let's talk about that collaboration piece as women. And what do you say to women who feel like they can't achieve what you guys achieved?
You know what? That's a great question. I know Malika's on the string.
Takia is too.
Okay, yeah. Malika and Takia is on the string. And so I think it's something to be said. And I see this in ministry sometimes, that sometimes we just plug people into positions because we need someone to fill them. And I think what we did well was, talk to each other about our strengths and where people would be great at. And that really helped us work really well together, and being able to separate business from pleasure. You know, we still friends. And then if it was something to talk about business, we could like talk about business, right? And so I think that is really helpful. And I think it takes a deep level of transparency. I mean, and as you said, like we were kids. I mean, we were in our early 20s when we started.
Right.
But, you know, with that, we were still growing in learning how to communicate well and, you know, continue to build deep relationships. And I think it's that inside work. And those that know Signature Dance Company, you know, inside work is really important to us. Like we're really holistic about, you know, not just dance, but also like how we show up in our personal lives, you know, social, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, all of that. And so doing that work in tandem with the work in business is really important because you can't, even when you're individually starting something, right, Sean? Like you can't not do the inside work because the inside work is actually, I'm going to be doing a webinar at some point, hopefully soon. I'm not going to say with who yet, but I'm doing entrepreneurial mindset. Like don't let your mind mess with your money. Right?
Ooh, that's good.
Don't let your mind mess with your money.
Right, because it will.
It will mess with your money.
Because feelings are not facts. You know, that's one of my mantras. Feelings are not facts. And feelings don't pay the bills. And so don't let your mind mess with your money. That's a shirt, Desiree. Make a shirt.
Takia, get on it. So then
get on it. Desiree needs a shirt for that webinar.
But I think that's like we don't do the inside work, you know, it's like we're friends, but I mean, I've seen people have businesses with friends and family and it goes into shambles, right? Because people are mad at each other and such. But that's the thing, it's just like doing the inside work. We continue to not only foster ourselves inside, but foster our friendships. That don't mean we wasn't mad at each other. We done had arguments and had to come to the table about stuff. But, you know, really working through that thing and like growing through that thing. You know what I mean? There are people that are not willing to have those conversations and really grow through it. And that it takes some you know, some inside reflection to really be willing to grow through a thing. Because we're still growing. I mean, we're still growing now, but even then, you know, like decided to go into business together and continue to be friends.
Right. And I think what you said is so critical because I often tell startups and even some tenured business owners that you really have to look at your business. You guys birthed Signature, just like Takia birthed her children, Malika birthed her son. You know, you'll eventually birth some children, should you want to. What'd you say?
I think I want to.
Okay. Well, you know, I don't want to be putting stuff on people that, you know.
Because, you know, it is my womb.
Right. Exactly. I don't want to be putting, you know, babies in your womb that you don't want. So, however, you know, and I think one of the key things that you hit on is because you guys birthed it, you cared for it and you collaborated in the same way parents have to do. So even if my husband and I are mad at each other, the kids still have to have dinner. They still have to get to Signature. They still have homework that has to be done. There are things that we still have to do. And there are growing pains. Takia mentioned that through the parenting process. And while you're raising your kids, you're still evolving as a person because that's changing you. And especially, you know, if you're a young parent, I know, you know, Takia just celebrated her wedding anniversary. So, you know, she got married through this. Malika got married through this. Children got birthed through this. So, all of a sudden, all of these different elements are coming in that they have to then balance. You know, your career shifted through this. You know, you moved. So many things have happened. But I think that what happened is you're like, but we still gonna co-parent well. You know, and we go even down to I don't want to call Jamie the nanny because she is like the executive director, but like even in who we pick to watch the baby when we can't actually watch the baby, you know, we need to collaborate as co-parents and say, who can we entrust with this baby?
Absolutely. That's good. And even in who you pick, you know, and that's even a transition, you know, for entrepreneurs that want to let go of like that's a whole thing, you know, like learn to let go. And let it grow in a different way with a different person leading it. Like that takes, you know, like even us, it's like we got to, you know, it's kind of like when people have struggles with their teenagers growing up, because like 16 is like, oh, you're an adult now, you know, we got to look make decisions and just trying to figure out what's the balance of, hey, remember who we are, but also we want you to grow. You know what I mean? Like, remember who we are. We want you to grow. We want you to move. We want you to shift through that way, you know, into yourself, but also being that, you know, we want to remember who you are. So, you know, it's kind of like that really, you know, kind of like back and forth, just trying to make sure like we find our middle spot there.
Right. As you said that, you know, when you said, remember who you are, I just could hear Lion King in my ear saying, like, remember who you are, you know, like that, you know, like Mufasa's like legacy to Simba, like, remember who you are. And I think that is critical because I have entered into that age where my oldest child lives on his own. And so he lives on his own. I don't talk to him every day. He's got his own car. He's got a job, pays his own bills. He doesn't need anything, you know. And so I can't control his comings and goings. I have to just trust the foundation I've set. And to your point, remind him of who he is and remind him of how he was raised and remind him who he is still yet to be.
Yes.
And I think that that's powerful for entrepreneurs to have that same frame of thought for their business. Like, okay, this is who you are. This is where you want to go. But then there's still another piece of who you are yet to be, regardless of how old you are.
Yes. I love that. That's awesome.
Well, I love you. It's 12:57. Tell them your social media handle so they can follow you.
Absolutely. So I'm Desiree.Cocroft on Instagram. And then on LinkedIn, I'm Desiree Cocroft MBA. And then on Facebook, Desiree Cocroft. You know, I had a great branding coach named Chen that made me use my name for everything. And then I do have a page on Facebook. That's Destination Life. So that is my LLC. And then my website is DesireeCocroft.com. So easy to find me. Thank you, coach.
Yes, everyone should own their name. They know that's one of my, and you should own your name and your kids' names. You don't know, Beyonce and Jay-Z trademarked all their kids' names. They don't even know if all those kids can sing yet, or dance, or have any plans to be a star. However, just in case, even if you just park it, even if you're not sure what you're going to do with it on social media, if once you have it, no one can be www.facebook.com/Chantel McKenzie or /Power Network but me. And so once you own it, it's yours. And so what do you want your last words to be for the woman watching now or man, and for someone watching the replay? What do you want to leave people with in this environment of unprecedented time that we're in right now?
Yeah, I'm so glad you say that, because this has been on me, that we have been in this season of disruption.
That's good.
Like, in this season of disruption usually causes you to act differently. Disruption just comes at a time where it makes you have to wonder, like, well, what's really going on here? You know, like, what do I need to shift? So I would just encourage people to lean into the disruption. Lean into what is this disruption causing me to have to do differently, and how can I show up differently as a result of this disruption? And whatever you feel called to show up differently, like, go do that thing.
I love that. And then I would just add to that, to your point of what you said, because it's so pivotal, is that disruption causes people to act differently. And so that's where grace comes in, and it's so important, because you should not judge anyone right now based on how they're moving, acting, feeling. There are so many emotions in the air across the country, period, but especially in marginalized communities and communities of color. There's so much happening. But even with your neighbors that might be getting on your nerves, or your spouse or your kids, like the togetherness, the noise, the garbage, like, when are we home like this? Like, when are we, and there's not a space to do anything but be together. And so it's so critical that there's grace for that. But I love this thought of disruption. I want to hear you talk about that more, because we don't have time today. But I want to talk about navigating through disruption. I'd love to have that conversation with you, because life is constantly disrupting us. This is an unprecedented, you know, my my daughter asked me, my 11-year-old, she said, have you ever went through anything? Like, has this ever happened in the history? I'm like, no. I'm like, State Fair is canceled. Like, that's like a Wisconsin. Like, I was like, no, yeah, they're gonna play the whole NBA in Orlando. Like, no, this has never happened. Like, I know this has not happened at all. And no one, you know, I don't want to say, because I have a friend live in Malaysia and they were preparing last year. So people are like, no one saw it coming. I'm like, some people saw it coming. But no one saw George Floyd coming in the way that it was filmed, or Ahmaud, although that is not uncommon in our community. And that kind of news hits our community first a lot of times. And the videos are not always as graphic. So I think that his death, I analogize it to it hitting a chord with people similar to Bloody Sunday and the March on the Pettus Bridge, because it was so graphic for people.
Yeah.
And there's a part of your humanity, regardless of your ethnicity, that just that hopefully has care for human life.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I want to talk about disruption more, because you're right. It doesn't just happen now. It's like throughout our lives when things be disruptors, you know, what are we going to do? And like you said, in the murder of George Floyd, what are we going to do with this big disruption? And it's not like it's going to be the last, and I don't want to say the last murder, but the last disruption, right? To either pause or act, and neither one is wrong, right? To pause or act, neither one is wrong. Both can help us, you know, get to where we want to go.
I think that's the perfect way to end it. That with that whole thought of disruption, and that whether you feel compelled to pause or act, nothing is wrong. I the only caveat I want to add to that is, and I know we need to go, is for all the people asking our allies, our white allies, to act. And you're saying it's okay to pause. What do we say to that?
Yeah, pause is an act, because in some sense, I need you to pause before you say the wrong thing.
Good clarification.
That happened to me yesterday. That's a whole nother hour.
Okay. Call me about that one. But yes. So I love that. So it's pause until you can come to a space of an action that will initiate the change you hope to see. Not, you know, I would say if you can't make things better, then at least don't make them worse. Like, you know.
No, that's good, Sean. With authenticity and not because,
Right. Like, I gotta say something because everybody else is saying something. Not if what you have to say, you haven't figured out how to articulate that.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm so glad we finally got to do this. And I can't wait to do it again. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of your coaching business. I'm so proud of your speaking. What I love, the last thing I'll leave with is, she mentioned, you know, I had this great coach. You know, one of the true essence of friendship is my friend Desiree, who I would have just coached because we're that close. She's like, I sent you the money, you know, and I'm, you know, it's like, I mean, why you didn't send me the money? But, you know, that is phenomenal when your friends can see your gift and believe in it so much that they're willing to compensate you for the services, and they respect your business. And I appreciate that. And I love you, and everybody should call her and set up a coaching session. Do you still have that special going, or was it just your birthday?
No, I got it until June 30th. Yep.
Okay. So tell the people about the special real quick.
Yep. So until June 30th is Pay What You Can coaching. Let me help you help me as I get my ICF credentials. Okay.
So you hear that? If you ever wanted to, if you need to get your life, which we all do, and she has a Pay What You Can coaching. Tell them how they get to that again.
Yep.
If they're just coming on.
Yep. You can get to it from my website. You can go ahead and just make a first time call, and then we can set it up from there.
Yep. And that website again is
DesireeCocroft.com.
And Cocroft is COCROFT.
Yep.
All right. Yep. So I don't miss it. Pay What You Can coaching. That's an amazing opportunity. And she is phenomenal at what she does. We didn't talk about her day job, but she works by day for now. And I say for now, not her for now, but I say that because I see her future. Because I don't want them to think you about to leave or nothing.
Right,
This is
right.
me, her friend.
Yeah.
You know, I say, and she works for one of the most historic and largest coaching organizations in the country, and so she is phenomenally trained, and she literally goes into academia and educational institutions and organizations, and she trains and coaches and strategizes for a living. So she speaks, lives, eats, and breathes this. And so for you to be able to have someone with 2 master's degrees, who's an HBCU grad, who works for one of the largest training organizations in the country, coach you for whatever you can afford to pay is a phenomenal opportunity. So I encourage you to get your situation together during the disruption and put your coins together, and whatever you got planned this weekend, whatever carry out, because you can't sit in there, go ahead and use that for some coaching. All right. All right, you guys, we are out. Goodbye. Peace, love, power. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks, Desiree.